We're on top of breaking news in Greensboro, where most Greensboro Transit Agency bus operations have been suspended due to a lack of bus drivers.
We do know GTA Paratransit is back in operation after initially being down this morning as well. So WFMY News 2's Sydney Moore is live at the bus depot downtown, where Sydney, some drivers are waiting for their buses.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. In just a minute, you'll hear from one man who is waiting to get on the bus. Now, we spoke with bus drivers who agreed to stand down today due to wanting their salary and benefits met. In fact, they say they don't plan to roll out until someone from the city sits down with them to negotiate contracts. And they say they are willing to take this as far as it will go. Megan and Tracy, Eric, I came here earlier this morning around 7 this morning. There were dozens of people standing around waiting on a bus to get to work. Some were waiting longer than others. I spoke with one man who got here around 6:30 this morning to get to work. Here's what he has to say.
I get it, but the frustration comes from the lack of communication, really. I feel like when everybody got on the bus, there should have been just a little bit of heads up of, hey, you might not want to get on the bus today, something like that. And, we see the same drivers every day, so it kind of sucks that there's no communication.
And so some people were frustrated, others are understanding with what's going on. And just to clarify again, the paratransit is up and running, and we will continue to stay around here as this story continues to develop at this time. Live in Guilford County, I'm Sydney Moore, WFMY News 2.
All right, thank you, Sydney, and welcome to the Good Morning Show at 9 a.m. Eric Chilton here with Tracy McCain, Megan Malaris, and Christian Morgan. Morning.
Yeah, such a wild situation to happen first thing in the morning as people are trying to get to work. Even students are trying to get to classes. Some Guilford County high school students use GTA to get to school. So this is a developing situation. I'm sure a shock to many.
The guy said it best. He's like, you show up and you're like, oh, I don't have a ride.
Right.
So.
Could have made other arrangements had he known. And again, drivers are not calling this a formal strike. They're standing down while they're waiting for these benefits to be addressed, obviously wanting change. We'll see if that change comes.
Okay. Yeah, I talked to one driver who told me that he's willing, all the drivers are willing to stand down, is what the term they're calling it, for as long as it takes. The insurance company is out of Texas, so it might take a while.
We'll see. Okay.
A terrible story developing this morning. Grief in Oak Ridge. A young teenager died last night. Troopers say she was struck by an SUV while trick or treating. It happened on Haw River Road near Apple Grove Road in Oak Ridge. Troopers say two teenagers were walking south when they were hit from behind. The other teenager has minor injuries. The driver remained on scene following the crash, and troopers are still investigating. Just a heartbreaking tragedy out of Oak Ridge, a community already grieving the loss of one trick-or-treater just a few years ago. Now to have this happen again, unbelievable amount of grief this morning.
I know, I think about this, and just as parents, the first thing we all think about is our own kids and how tragic this is, and it's just, it seems like, I don't know what else you can do. We tell drivers to keep a lookout. You tell kids, and even in this case, teenagers, to dress appropriately so they can see you, and it's just sometimes this happens.
Yeah, and we mentioned the situation that happened a few years ago regarding Noah Chambers, who was 11 when he was hit by a car crossing the street to trunk or treat. That happened less than a mile from where this happened last night.
Really?
Haw River Road in Oak Ridge. I'm sure there will be some discussions about that going forward as well, but this community really needs our thoughts, our prayers, and action. This is horrible. So a Greensboro teenager is recovering after a hit-and-run crash left him with broken bones. Police say this happened outside of the Cookout on Westridge Square Shopping Center on Battleground Avenue just after midnight Sunday. Police say the 18-year-old said he was crossing a driveway in the parking lot of the Cookout when a car hit him going 45 miles an hour.
I go to walk across the street casually. I look right, left, and then I look back right after I look left, and there was a car right there. I didn't even have time to move. All I could do was flinch.
Police later identified the driver as Patricia Hilton. WFMY News 2's Grace Holland spoke with her Monday night. She declined to share any details about what led up to the crash. So this cookout location, very popular in
is
Greensboro.
really popular.
You know, it always has a line on a regular basis. It's open till 2 a.m. So this happened just after midnight on Sunday. A lot of people were there, it looks like, from the video. So people saw this happen. It's unclear why it happened, but thankfully he's okay.
And that one's weird because I know that cookout very well, and it's in a really lit, you know what I mean? Like there's no,
it's right off the main road.
Road, yeah, I don't get it.
Well, it's off the main road, but the parking lot is very tight. It is, I mean, literally there's not a little bit of wiggle room. So the fact that this happened in that parking lot is, you know, kind of shocking to me. That, I mean, if he was the only one injured, I'm not sure, because there's no room for anything to happen there. And it's very small.
Yeah, and it's not, so it's almost misleading when you hear the story. You think, oh, that was on Battleground. No, it's not on Battleground, right? It's in the parking lot. And if someone was going 45 miles per hour in that parking lot, that's the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see what happens with this story as well. All right, here's one for all parents. We need you to hear this. All of the products you're about to see on your screen, Lifesavers, Sweet Tarts, you know, the ones that we all love and adore. They might look like your favorite treats or maybe those of your kids, but they're actually Delta 8 products. Delta 8 is a legal version of THC. High Point Police, the Secretary of State, and their task force showed examples of the goods they confiscated containing Delta 8. Nearly 9,000 counterfeit products seized from several tobacco and vape shops in High Point. While it's against the law because these items are not trademarked, the police chief says the biggest issue is they are marketed towards kids.
For every parent out there, which I'm a parent, you should be concerned. For every kid, you should be concerned. For every school administrator, you should be concerned. To every business owner who's employing people to do a job out there, you should be concerned, because this is floating around and could be in your environment. And what effect does it have on our youth or whoever's consuming the product?
Officers gave the businesses where the items were confiscated warnings, but they say if this happens again, those owners could face criminal charges. I
mean, those are clearly copyright infringement. They look exactly like the products. And when I looked at it, I was shocked, because this is the first time I've seen it. I cannot believe that, well, of course it's illegal and it's not allowed, but I cannot believe that a respectable business owner, and the key word is respectable, would even sell something like that. Because you look at that, if someone went into a shop that sells the Delta 8 products and they had a kid with them, and the kid saw that, you might mistakenly just go, oh, well, you know, okay, gummies, not thinking that it's a legal version of pot, basically.
Right, all the logos, the branding was the same. Some of the wording was a little bit different. It said Weed Savers instead of Lifesavers on one of the packs.
But
I noticed
the same font, you know?
The same font. I mean, clearly, like you said, copyright, trademark infringement. It seems to me like law enforcement, and we've heard from the Attorney General's office, they are cracking down on these products that target children. We've heard about all the jewel settlements that have happened over these past few years. So there is progress, but unfortunately, this stuff is getting into our environment. It's getting into our schools probably. It's affecting our kids.
And the conversation is happening right now on our Facebook page about THC and its effects. And, you know, some people saying, well, it's legal, it's sold in vape shots, and that's not the problem. But, you know, those are for people who are 18 and older. Right. So if you are a 12-year-old child who...
Yeah, looking at that candy.
Right, exactly. This can have a very harmful impact, which THC simulates a high anyway. Right. So when you have a young child who's now... you know, getting this, it can be very dangerous and harmful. It's not for anyone who's 18 and over. And honestly, you know, there's some discussion of whether it should be available to anyone at all.
We'll see where all that goes. This story, though, an 81-year-old man in Minnesota says that his new Apple smartwatch actually saved his life. Nick Nikolai says he was taking advantage of the great weather and decided to change the oil on his snowblower up north. They have those a lot. He ended up falling out of his chair. He hit his head. He said he could not get up, but his phone wasn't nearby. So that's when his Apple Watch went off. And when he didn't respond, the watch called 911. The crazy part, he just bought the watch 3 weeks before, and it saved his life. And, you know, you've seen those commercials. Where you'll see someone who's been in an accident and the watch will call 911 and they're unconscious. It's real.
The real 911 calls. My friend, her mother got into a car wreck a few months ago in the mountains, and the watch detected that there had been an impact. When she didn't respond, called for help. It could have been a call that saved her life because every second counts.
Yeah, and when it vibrates or you shake it enough or something like that happens, it gives you like a countdown, like a 3-second countdown to stop it or override it before it will actually call that for you. So.
And does it verbally say, "Are you okay"?
It vibrates constantly,
so
or it'll
see
make
it.
a noise. It kind of makes like a siren noise.
Like you would have to tap it.
Yeah, you'd have to tap it or click
Be
a button
aware.
to
stop
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Not the first time we've heard about this happening.
No, not the last either. It's fascinating. All right, let's head over to Tracy.
Well, coming up on the Good Morning Show, Delta employees are considering a possible strike. Plus, no one won last night's Powerball jackpot, so that means the prize is way up there. All that and more when we come back.
Well, slowly and surely the fog is lifting across the Piedmont. That really has been the issue so far this morning. But as you look live across the Piedmont right now, no longer an issue in Greensboro, Winston-Salem starting to clear out a little bit too. High Point, Burlington, same kind of story. But the outlying areas are still dealing with some pretty dense patchy fog. Visibility down to a mile, if not below that, in many spots. So still keep it in mind if you're traveling this morning, you might want to plan some extra time for that just in case. Temperatures are in the mid-50s out the door this morning, so not too cold, just kind of a cool morning of weather. We'll warm it up pretty quickly though with the sunshine popping out now into the low 70s for the afternoon. So it's going to be a warm day of weather. High pressure remains in control of our weather. We'll have a little disturbance that gives us some extra clouds tomorrow, which will make for a bit of a cooler day. But after that, more sunshine as we head into the end of the week. And I think you're really going to like what you have in store for the weekend. Check it out. Saturday and Sunday afternoon highs in the mid 70s. And don't forget, Saturday night before bed, we fall back 1 hour as daylight saving time comes to an end.
Well, that Powerball jackpot continues to grow.
Plus, Disneyland is not always so magical.
Depends on where you go, I guess.
Yeah.
First, though, pilots at Delta Airlines have voted to authorize a possible strike. So it will only happen if they're unable to negotiate a new employment contract. The parties have been working towards a new contract since 2019. Delta's pilots need permission from a government mediation board before they can officially strike. The company says Monday's vote does not affect current operations, but we'll keep you updated.
A COVID-19 outbreak at Disneyland Shanghai forced the amusement park to close suddenly. Park staff did not allow anyone to exit the park without having a COVID test confirmed negative on site. Yeah, long lines to get that done. Shanghai's government also says anyone who has visited the park since last Thursday must test regularly, having 3 negative COVID tests in 3 days.
All right, the suspense surrounding Powerball's gigantic jackpot just keeps on building here because nobody won last night. That means it's now up to $1.2 billion, the largest in 6 years. The last time a Powerball jackpot was hit was August 3rd in Pennsylvania. The jackpot could grow as more and more tickets are sold. And that drawing, the next drawing, is Wednesday. Get your tickets.
That's why Megan and I wore green today.
Oh, is it?
Money, money, money.
I felt like, if we kind of looked like money, maybe we would win some money.
Bring some luck in.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, winning requires buying tickets though, so at least there's still time. But with every ticket sold, our odds get less and less likely to win.
Yes,
So.
but the money goes up. I mean, but think about it though, even a lesser prize in that is life-changing.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
there are some people that are going to win $3 or $4 million.
Right.
That's life-changing.
$100,000 is life-changing.
I'll take it.
$20,000. I mean, if you have college debt or something like that, that's like a big burden on you. Any amount of money that can wipe that away.
I have 4 kids. I'll take $20 at this point. Anything.
Like, I'll take a Chick-fil-A gift card.
That's fine with me.
There you go.
It's very good. All right, we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
All right, we want to get back to our breaking news story out of Greensboro this morning, where GTA, Greensboro Transit Agency buses are not running due to a lack of drivers.
WFMY News 2, Sydney Moore is live at the bus depot downtown. Sydney, you have talked with people who are still waiting to get to work this morning.
Yeah, I mean, I got here earlier this morning. Folks were waiting. Some were waiting for about even an hour. some were also frustrated because this is their only way that they do get to work, while others were, understanding of what's going on. Now, we did speak with bus drivers who say they agreed to stand down today due to wanting their salary and benefits being met. They say they plan to not roll out until someone from the city sits down to negotiate their contracts with them. Now, we have seen at least one GTA coming here to drop folks off at the depot, but they have not been taking off. Now, we also do know that the paratransit is up and running and helping to take folks to work during this time, but this is still continuing to develop, and of course we'll be sure to keep you updated as soon as we learn more information. Live in Guilford County, Sydney Moore, WFMY News 2.
Well, there's one thing we haven't talked a lot about lately, and that's a good thing. We haven't talked a lot about the tropics, but we do have a brand new tropical storm out in the Atlantic. This is Tropical Storm Lisa, a little over 200 miles away from the Grand Cayman Islands, and there's another disturbance just north of Bermuda that has a pretty good chance of development over the next few days. Now, neither one of these things are going to be a concern for the U.S. mainland or the Carolinas, but Lisa, little bookkeeping here, likely becomes our next hurricane as it moves toward Belize over the next couple days. Also, just to keep in mind, it still technically is hurricane season that runs until November 30th officially. But as we know, things can happen outside of that window from June 1st to November 30th. We'll keep an eye on the tropics, but otherwise it's pretty quiet out in the Atlantic.
Authorities have identified Massachusetts' oldest unidentified homicide victim almost 50 years after the highly publicized murder took place. Her name was Ruth Marie Terry, a woman born in Tennessee who was 37 at the time of her death. Her identity eventually came to light using investigative genealogy. That's where law enforcement pulls genetic information from databases to review in the context of a criminal case. Despite this new development, the case remains unsolved. Pretty incredible what modern day technology and genetic information can do, at least to provide this family some closure. The case unsolved, but you can bury your loved one.
Now they know who it was. It's funny because I do listen to a lot of true crime podcasts and that type of thing, and they always refer to back when DNA evidence, like even in the early 90s, DNA was still kind of a thing where they were, is it accurate, is it not? But nowadays it's incredible. I do Ancestry.com, and it's amazing how, and police use that. They use that data.
Oh yeah.
And so every time you sign up for that, you can link in with that. And genetically, that footprint, or digital footprint, you want to call it, is huge in solving crimes. Huge.
I think the DNA is so cool, and then you talk, about forensics, even going back to finding, teeth marks and dental records and all that kind of stuff to try to figure this out. It's amazing how far back you can go and how much you realize, how much telling information there is about somebody.
I always wonder how long DNA lasts. Like if you have evidence that's sealed up in something, like even a strand of hair, does it hold up? Does it decay over time?
That's interesting.
I don't know.
I mean, bones would have DNA preserved. I imagine that's probably how they figured out the identity of her. But yeah, it's really interesting, not only in providing justice to some of these cases, but also exonerating some of the people who were wrongfully convicted.
That's right. Science is fascinating.
I'm a huge fan of the old forensic files and stuff where they go back and search.
They figure it all out. All right, Trace.
Hey guys, I get the cool story of the morning. T-Swizzle, yes, Taylor Swift is making history this week. The pop star is on the Billboard Top 100 list in all top 10 spots. It's pretty incredible if you think about it. Her single, Anti-Hero, leads the string of hits from her just-released album, Midnights. Swift surpasses Drake's 2021 record of 9 singles on the Billboard Top 10. Now she's tied with Ariana Grande for most songs by a woman to debut at #1 on the Hot 100 chart. They each have 5, according to Billboard, but Drake still holds the lead of all artists with 7. Not bad, T-Swizzle.
Wow. Incredible.
Yes.
All 10 spots?
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
9 out of the 10 spots.
You want to talk about loyalty. Her fan base is so loyal. I mean, there are people who probably didn't even sleep at all that night when the album came out the other week.
We know 2 of them.
We do. And they're at work right now.
Right. Not us.
My wife loves her. She's seen her twice in concert, and even my niece has seen her like 4 times. But she said that she talks to the audience, and not just in live, but I mean, she said through her songs. I think that's it. It's a personal connection. Everybody feels like they know her, you know.
Yeah, and she talks about things that we all go through. I mean, a breakup is not just a breakup with her. I mean, it's like the world is ending, my heart is bleeding. You know, I've been through that. I know what that feels like, and the way that she writes it just makes it, you know, everybody connect with her.
I also never want to be the boyfriend of
That's exactly what I was about to say. You took it right out of my mouth. I was like, man, if you date her and it's a breakup, there's going to be a song.
Right, exactly. So
she's real.
Don't date Taylor Swift, Tracy McCain, or
you know what you signed up for.
Tracy will say it on TV. We're coming right back.
And I know who you are. Want to update you on the breaking news situation happening in Greensboro right now, where Greensboro Trades and Agency bus operations have been suspended due to a lack of drivers.
Since we first reported this morning, GTA Paratransit is back in operation. WFMY News 2's Sydney Moore is live at the bus depot downtown with what is happening. What's the reason for this, Sydney?
Yeah, so what we've been seeing is bus drivers coming here to the depot and walking right here into this operation entrance only, but we haven't really been seeing them come out. Now, we spoke with bus drivers who agreed to stand down today due to wanting their salary and benefits met. They say they plan to not roll until someone from the city sits down with them to negotiate their contracts. And the GTA bus drivers say they are willing to take this as far as it will go until they, speak to someone and their voices are heard. Now, when I arrived here around 7 this morning, there were dozens of folks standing around waiting on a bus to get to work. Some were waiting longer than others. And I spoke with one man. He was waiting since 6:30 this morning. Here's what he had to say.
Missing one day of work's one thing, and just hoping it's resolved and everybody comes to an agreeable solution so everybody can get back to what they're supposed to do every day.
We want to emphasize again that the paratransit is up and running. This story is continuing to develop. There is still folks standing behind me, still waiting to get to work because, this is the only way some folks do get to work is by using the GTA buses. But we'll continue to be out here as this story develops. Live in Guilford County, I'm Sydney Moore, WFMY News 2.
And I'm sure we'll hear more about that probably as the day goes on. Welcome to the Good Morning Show at 9 a.m. Eric Chilton here with Tracy McCain, Megan Malaris, and Christian Morgan.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. So it started really foggy this morning.
Yeah.
It did.
I mean, it was hard to see the cities in our sky cameras. Driving into work was a situation. Has any of that burned off?
Yeah, slowly and surely it's happening. Winston-Salem still looks a little bit spooky. I'm not exactly sure that Winston-Salem got the memo that Halloween's over yet. So anyway, it's holding on to some fog this morning. You can see it right there on our weather camera network, but Greensboro's looking good now. Burlington's looking good. High Point's starting to shape up as well. But there are still some areas of patchy dense fog, especially in the outlying areas away from the big city. So keep that in mind if you're traveling this morning. Still some spots with visibility down below a mile across the Triad this morning, which may slow you down wherever you're headed. Temperatures in the mid-50s out the door right now. 56 Greensboro and in Winston-Salem, 58 Burlington, 57 Asheboro, 60 down in Troy this morning. And as we head throughout the afternoon with sunshine peeking out, we're going to warm up pretty nicely. Should be a comfortable afternoon of weather with temperatures in the low 70s, a bit above average right now, which is 66 this time of the year. High pressure taking control of our weather, but a little disturbance will give us some extra clouds for tomorrow, but mainly staying dry. And after that, we bring the sunshine back in a big way. We also bring some warmth back into the Piedmont as well. I think you're going to like what's in store for the weekend. Check it out. Slowly and gradually, we warm up into the low to mid 70s with sunshine for Saturday and Sunday. Nice weekend shaping up. And don't forget, we fall back 1 hour as daylight saving time comes to an end Saturday night.
A North Carolina woman faces a citation for allegedly shooting at 4 Diet Mountain Dew bottles in her backyard. Yeah, can't make this stuff up. The reason, police said, is because she did not approve of her father's drink of choice. Gastonia police released this statement saying, quote, "We totally understand not everybody is a fan of the Dew, but we cannot stress enough how dangerous this is. There are much safer alternatives to disposing of beverages that you don't like instead of using the full bottles as target practice in your backyard, in your neighborhood, surrounded by other homes and people," end quote.
Okay, two things here. One, this is serious, right? I get it. You should not fire a gun
Sure.
in a neighborhood. However, the police called it the do. That guy couldn't help it. I don't know how you made it through without laughing, because
I mean, thankfully we can laugh because everybody's okay. Nobody got hurt, but obviously a dangerous situation.
I just love the official police response. Not everybody loves the do.
Yeah, they were obviously trying to have fun with it,
Yeah.
but a serious message that they were trying to, I guess, get across. I just think about what's happening in Gastonia. My father's from that area,
really?
so I know
I didn't know
Gastonia
that.
very well. Yeah, he's from a town called Cherryville.
Cherryville. Yes, but they say Cherryville.
Gotta roll it,
I know someone from there.
Exactly, right near Shelby. It's a very small community, so anytime I hear some news out of Gastonia, I'm like, yep, it's
That's Gastonia.
100% it fits.
Well, I do love my Diet
I
Mountain
was
Dew.
going to say,
Yeah,
you love the do. You do the do.
I do that one all the time. In fact, people make fun of me because if it's out in the break room, drink dispenser or whatever, I'm really upset. Gotta love the do.
Got to.
Yeah.
All right, so election news, and it's a big one. We're only a week away. So if you plan on voting absentee for the November midterm election, time is running out to request your ballot. The deadline to request it to be sent to you in the mail is today by 5 p.m. After that, your only chance to vote will be during the one-stop early voting, which ends this Saturday, November 5th, or on Election Day, which is coming up fast on Tuesday, November 8th. So make sure you are ready for Election Day. We have all this information securely packed in an election guide for you that we will send to your phone. Text the word VOTE to 336-379-5775. That election guide has everything from your one-stop voting locations to your, precinct, how to find your regular precinct if you're going to vote on Election Day, and also some interesting things about the candidates and who's running and who's on your ballot.
One stop. That's what we need. Just everything in one
Election
place.
guide.
Yep.
This is a great option, these absentee ballots. If, say, you don't know your work schedule on Election Day, you don't know about conflicts, if you can make it to one of the early voting sites. If you request and receive that ballot, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to use it if you, are able to get to a polling place, but obviously you can't vote twice. So if you do decide to mail in your ballot, then don't go to early voting or your assigned precinct on Election
You could
Day.
use it as it's a safety.
Yeah.
Really, let's say I'm going to get this, and then I'll see where I am with things.
You do need 2 witness signatures, though, so make sure you are filling that out in the presence of a couple other people. They do need to sign for you, or you can take it to a notary and do it that way.
All right. We also have the information about when you need to have those back in that election guide as well.
So New York is the latest city to take the guesswork out of salary negotiations. Starting today, a new law takes effect requiring employers to include salary ranges in job postings. City leaders hope this will even out the bargaining power between employers and employees. Several states have already enacted salary transparency statutes. A similar law in California will take effect next year. We talked about this a little bit on the Good Morning Show, just the benefit of being transparent. It is still largely an employee's market. Employers are trying to kind of incentivize you to work for their companies. And so I think pay transparency is important. Obviously, you're not going to make the same as someone starting out than someone who's been there for 10 years. But this gives you an idea of where you can work toward, some room for growth the company might have in the salary.
I've always thought that even, if I were to be in that position where I'm going, okay, now I got to start looking. If you're not giving me a salary range, then I might be looking at something else. You got to know at least a low end, top end of where you can be. I think that's a great idea.
Right. A salary range kind of gives you a baseline of where you can start negotiating, how far maybe the company go, or if you get over that, then maybe it just means that they really, really want you. But I think it also takes the time that you spend looking for a job away, because if you are, set on a job and they're offering the right amount of money, then you don't have to spend time trying to recruit or trying to be recruited by another company.
And the companies too, they'll know. I don't have to get somebody that's going to come in here and ask for this, because they'll know this is what it shortens everything, keeps it nice and succinct. We hope, at least. All right, Christian, over to you.
All right, well, change is on the way for a busy Greensboro road, one we all know and know well. DOT plans to widen Benjamin Parkway near the Friendly Center. Leaders say they need to keep up with increased traffic as Greensboro continues to grow. One big change would mean converting the Pembroke Road and Cornwallis Drive intersections into right turn only lanes. The DOT says it could reduce crashes by 15%. I spoke to people living nearby who said the change could be a good idea.
I have strong feelings about it, and I've watched it grow and develop. I know that there is a need for it, and so I support that need.
I think that would help exponentially. That's something we have a need for because Greensboro has grown.
And the DOT must still make a decision on one detail of the project: preserve a multi-use lane or get rid of it and convert it into a sidewalk. Construction likely won't start until 2025. So you can share your opinion and your idea. We've got a link to that on our website, WFMYnews2.com.
Highly traveled area, that's for sure.
Yeah, with Friendly Center right there, especially during the holidays. I take this way home. I have for several years, and I cannot tell you the number of wrecks I have seen in this area as people are trying to turn left. I'm one of those people who will go to the next light and make a right and turn around instead of turning left without a signal. But this obviously is a change that needs to happen. It's become a safety concern in the area because our population has just grown so rapidly. For a large part of Greensboro, infrastructure has kept up. We've seen the Greensboro urban loop being kind of ahead of its time almost, when compared to Charlotte infrastructure, but this is definitely an interchange of concern.
We're growing. Well, think about the Boom Supersonic and Toyota and all that. We might as well get this done now because we're going to have to do it. And that urban loop has changed a lot of people's lives when it comes to traveling. I know when we do live shots out at the Wyndham, and I live in the Summerfield area, it would take me sometimes 40 minutes to get there, and now it's like 23.
And even to get out of Greensboro, I live on the north side of Greensboro too, and even to go home to Asheboro, I quit going. I used to go out, and go through downtown and go out that way. Now I just hit the urban loop and it carries me all the way around. It is so easy, and a quick shot to Wendover too.
We got to grow quickly, too, before all that other stuff happens. We get all those folks coming in, realizing how good we had it, Trace.
I'm getting all the good news stories today. I love this. 150 new Guilford County Schools teachers went on a shopping spree at the Teacher Supply Warehouse. First and second year teachers shop for all the things they need in their classrooms. The Guilford Education Alliance funded their day of shopping. They were able to pick up new and gently used classroom items for free.
I think it really shows to our Guilford County Schools teachers, particularly new teachers, that the community cares about them. Every pencil, every glue stick, every marker here has been donated by folks in the community.
Helping my students to be successful. And if this can help them, which it will, then that makes me happy because that's what it's all about. So I'm very thankful.
Yeah, they did this on Halloween, so that's why you see the costume there. The teachers also had a chance to win some door prizes. This is the second new teacher shopping day hosted by the Warehouse and the Education Alliance since August. Pretty neat.
That's pretty neat.
And they need this help. It's amazing how fast school supplies go in just the first marking period. Got my son all these new supplies and he already needed to re-up. So, I can imagine if that's just one kid, what it's like for a classroom where there's, anywhere from 20 to 25.
And these teachers spending their own money,
It's amazing how quickly a pen or pencil can just walk off somewhere, how quickly they go.
All the time. I saw this funny, you reminded me that I saw a comedian the other day and he said, well, I went to the bank today and he pulls out a pen with, do you remember when banks used to have pens with those little chains hanging off them?
Yeah.
And he had ripped it off. Went to the bank, they died.
Used to do that too, in restaurants, when credit cards and using plastic first started to become a thing, you could grab the pen and sign your little receipt, and now you go to places that used to have it and there's just a little holder where everything else has been ripped off and it's just still sitting there.
Because now you use your finger or a stylus.
I always laugh at that because it never looks like your signature. And I asked someone, why do we even have to do it? They said it's just showing that you saw it and they're acknowledging that you needed to sign because it looks nothing like
the
my
first
signature.
time somebody told me that, since then I've put no effort. If I have to sign one of those things, I just
do a little loop.
Just draw a line almost.
Right.
That's all they need. No, they don't care.
No, they don't care at the hospital either.
And I draw, when I sign, I draw my C's so big for Christian that I do them like this and it ends up like half of it goes off the page on the top.
Yes, me too.
Forget it.
Well, at least you have a strategy.
I'm going to start doing it. I've never thought of that. I'm just going to draw.
I've never thought so much in depth about my electronic signature.
Little smiley face. All right, let's go over to Meg.
Well, let's keep those smiles going with our pearly whites. Looking in tip-top shape today, kids are sifting through all the candy they received while trick-or-treating, and they want to be careful about that. We talk with dentist Matthew Applebaum with the Greensboro Center for Pediatric Dentistry, who says younger patients are most cavity-prone and need to be pickiest with regard to candy. Their best options, if they're going to eat it, is to forgo the sticky kind, including Jolly Ranchers and Laffy Taffy. If the candy has any kind of sticky feeling to it, throw it out. Applebaum says those candies are difficult to brush off, so there's a better option.
chocolate, especially dark chocolate. It's low in sugar. And then the other main trick is for the parents to moderate it, let the kids out of the ones that are acceptable, pick 2 or 3 pieces, and then brush immediately after. And floss a little bit too. People always forget the flossing.
Applebaum says there's a fun way their patients can make money if they want to be healthier. It is through the Halloween candy buyback effort, where children can get $1 for each pound of candy they bring to the dentistry office. We talked with a 7-year-old patient who said as soon as he gets the money, he's going to save it.
Once I get enough money, I'm probably going to put a lot of my money in my bank account.
Some of these kids will come in with 5 or 10 pounds of candy. It's just a nice thing for our patients. And sometimes when they bring it in, they wear their little costumes. They don't have to, but it's really cute. We love seeing them in their little costumes. And yeah, we love getting that junk food out of their house.
Definitely a bonus when you get the junk food out of the house.
I never heard of the candy buyback. That's interesting.
Yeah, apparently it's happening at this dentist office all week and next week.
Nice. So we went trick-or-treating yesterday, and we had something for Josiah, something for Simone to hold their candy, and something for Julian. Julian can't eat candy, right? So, but I'm thinking, I'm like, I'll just, whatever, get some for him, but really for me.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden my kids are like, what are you doing with that? I'm like, oh, I was just gonna no. And they start taking out his candy. And I'm like, guys,
he can't eat that.
Exactly.
Kids are brutally honest.
They are.
And I'm gonna say this too, and I mean it to be funny and selfish by nature because they haven't learned the rules, right? So I thought it was funny if that kid goes in and said, I got 6 pounds of candy, I'll give me my $6. He said, because I got this cheap candy from my neighborhood, I'm gonna go buy what I want with the candy, with the money that he gets back.
I'm gonna buy the Snickers.
Right.
We were 2 houses in to trick-or-treating last night, and my son had a mini Snickers open, eating it as he walked to the next house.
Of course he did.
Like, well, I'd honestly rather him eat chocolate than some of the sticky stuff that was mentioned. So, we brushed well and flossed, but
hey, listen, maybe he was just like, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
I got the Snickers.
I
Third house.
put him to bed last night, so he was ready to go.
He was ready to go. Tyler he's not feeling good. He has a fever now,
no.
and so he couldn't go. He didn't want to go. Believe me, he's sick if he didn't want to go trick or treating.
Right.
So he stayed at home. This is so sweet. 7 of the little boys in the neighborhood, they're all kind of within a year of each other. They all donated part of their candy and made him a little bag. That was the sweetest thing. It was so nice. And then Drew did it too for him. But anyway, so he gets to eat something.
That's so great.
That's good. All right,
we have some for him too.
Oh, good. Well,
Yeah,
he'll
me
take
too.
it. He'll take it. Christian.
All right, guys, coming up on the Good Morning Show at 9, a new survey found Raleigh, right here in North Carolina, the best host city for sporting events. But is it really? We'll discuss it next on the Good Morning Show at 9. We'll be right back.
In your health headlines this morning, a new report calls for more money to help women with lung cancer. Researchers say women are disproportionately affected by the disease, with more women dying of lung cancer than breast cancer and ovarian cancer combined. They make the case increased research funding will improve mortality rates and quality of life for lung cancer patients. Hearing screenings for newborns are becoming more accessible. That's good to hear. Researchers at the University of Washington developed a low-cost system using smartphones and earbuds. The method rivals devices that are too expensive for many countries, and researchers hope the system will help tackle global health inequities. And a new study shows a gaping hole in pediatric health care. Only 9% of studies include non-English speaking children. The findings from the University of Pittsburgh indicate a lack of representation could lead to health disparities for families who speak different languages. Researchers hope this will be a call to action for more inclusive pediatric research.
And Raleigh has landed on another bests list, this time for the best host city for sporting events. Sports Travel Magazine readers came up with the results in a poll, and in the last year alone, Raleigh has hosted dozens of competitions. Of course, the NCAA Men's College Cup, the NCAA Women's Basketball First Four, the NCAA Women's Gymnastics Regional, and the NCAA Division II Baseball World Series. And of course, we know a lot has been happening with the Carolina Hurricanes over at the PNC Arena. And so when I was reading this, I was like, you know what? Raleigh really has had a lot in the way of sports over the last couple of years.
They really have. I mean, I think our Coliseum is our aquatic center really is kind of the big deal, I think, at this point for us. But you've got a major metro market like that, Raleigh, they're going to pull them in, Charlotte as well.
I know, I was going to say, I wonder how Charlotte feels about this designation of Raleigh. But yeah, certainly the facilities there are pristine, not only from the professional standpoint, but also the colleges you have there, which probably was factored into this ranking.
I've seen a lot of college football games too. I know that Carolina and App Chilton have a deal where, we played one in Chapel Hill, we played one in Boone, and now we're going to play one over at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. But now we're kind of seeing the same thing happen with Carter Finley being used as that multi-purpose venue.
Well, and they have, you think of Carolina State and Duke also close. That means they have major venues. So all that in one market, they can hold more than like a Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point. So they'll get a lot of that just because of the venues,
Yeah, and hotels to support it.
Well, plenty there. They call it Raleighwood for a reason.
Raleighwood.
Raleighwood, yes. All right, we'll take a short break. Be right back.
I got here earlier this morning and spoke with folks who have been waiting to get on the GTA buses here. And what we know is that we spoke with bus drivers who agreed to stand down today due to wanting their salary and benefits met. They say they plan to not roll out until someone from the city sits down with them to talk and negotiate their contracts. Now, what we have been seeing is bus drivers have been coming here and walking straight into this office, which is the operating entrance only, but we have barely been seeing bus drivers coming out at this time. We do know that the paratransit is up and running to help get folks to and from work, but this is still a developing story, and we're of course going to continue to get information. Live in Guilford County, Sydney Moore, WFMY News 2.
All right, and one more check on that forecast for today. The fog continues to lift. Sunshine peeking out across the Piedmont. We'll warm it into the low 70s this afternoon. Some extra clouds tomorrow for your Wednesday will keep us a little bit cooler in the upper 60s. After that, dry weather pattern takes hold, sets up shop, and we gradually warm back up. Take a look at the weekend, mid-70s for Saturday and Sunday. That's good for weekend plans, and then we'll fall back an hour with daylight saving time come to an end way early Sunday morning. So get an extra hour of sleep, y'all.
Work a morning show. It's your favorite day of the year.
Right. Someone just needs to tell our young children.
yes, the time changes.
Right.
Just say by the time you get to 6
Sleep
o'clock,
in,
it'll feel like
please.
it's 10, being dark.
It's hard to retrain little ones too when that time, their
Right.
bodies don't just.
So take advantage and go to bed early because you know you're going to be waking up.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Exactly.
Thanks for watching the Good Morning Show at 9 a.m.
Have a great day, everybody. Be safe.
See you later.